Hello. And I'll delete all this. So basically, here's my generic thoughts for right now. Um, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm going to make this quick. So first thing is we've got um, person. So like Zach Berger, which would be a client. And then this client goes by a stage name perhaps. And then we've got a kind of a category that they give themselves. So um, in the intake, we would say like, okay, do you consider yourself a composer or a beat maker or a producer or a what the fuck else? Artist maybe. So they determine themselves what this like how they what they want to call themselves, and that gives us some clue as to what their goals are maybe, but we'll keep finding out more info. So uh, we've got this person, and then the other circle we've got is their music. Okay, and yep, their music. All right, so uh, we'll put that right there. And so the other big category is over here. We'll call it undiscovered audience. Basically, just people who don't know um, that you or your music exists. And then your online presence, that is what connects these two. So you write your music, and then it's your responsibility, if you want people to know that your music exists, it's your responsibility to put it online and build up some kind of presence, some kind of forward-facing platform or multi-platform billboard, so to speak, that has to do with you and your music. And but it's not just your music that belongs online, because you also want to bring your personality to your online presence. So the music is the main package that's going online, but the aesthetic around it should also that should have as much of a you should have as much of a consideration for that as you do um, the quality of music that you put online. So yeah, the music is the main deliverable, but the way that it's packaged is just as important as the fact that you're putting this online. Because think about a billboard with just it's a white background with black text. It's just listen to my music, and then there's like a Spotify link, and that's it. How many people driving by are going to give a shit about that? Versus if you put the Spotify link, but the billboard is something that you are something that has to do with you. The font is something you've picked out. The subject matter is catered to an aesthetic that you like. How many people driving by might check that out over just listen to my music, just bare bones, white space, black text. So yeah, that's the importance of bringing your personality to your online presence in addition to your music. Not just your music, but your personality. So when someone goes from, or when somebody uses this circle right here to produce this circle right here to make music, we know that there are a certain amount of things that go into or that they bring in with them. Okay, so first thing is their history, which is your inspirations, your skills, and your techniques, right? So like everything leading up to this point, you're bringing that with you when you create music on any given day. And then we have a snapshot, which is basically like what do things look like for you today? Where are you at currently? Not just, you know, where have you been, which is history, but what is today like? We've got goals. So the types of goals that you set are going to determine your future. And if you don't set any goals, that's going to also determine your future. And then something that we provide, if you're a client of us, is a primer. So a course that you go through that kind of touches on what each of these are, so that you're aware of the fact that all these exist first before we start, you know, trying to break it down. We got to actually talk about what these things are and get a mental framework going. And finally, more of a physical thing, right? These are like kind of time-based, past, present, future. This is like your education from us to introduce you to this entire diagram. And then this one is more physical, which is a music release triage. And if you don't know what a triage is, basically it's a space that is designated for determining the status of different things. So if you think about like an emergency room, you've got a triage where inbound patients come in and they give their name, they give their all of their info, so that including information about their injuries, so that the hospital can determine, okay, we need to work on this first, we need to work on this person second, you know, this is life-threatening, but this could wait, you know, like a couple hours, so let's focus on this, and then we'll hit this, and then this is like a tummy ache up here, so if, you know, when we get to this, we'll get to it, but there are obviously more pressing things. So you're like determining the importance of different things so that you have a way to work through the chaos. And so the same idea applies when you create a space on your computer to bring all of your files, all of your different releases, to one particular space, and organize them by this stuff is done but not released. This stuff is released. This stuff, I may never want to come back to this because this is just silly stuff. You know, these are joke tracks, or like none of these turned out. Like I just don't even want to mess with these. And then stuff that I'm working on right now, like in like this week, stuff that I'm working on, and then also just stuff that I will get around to working more on it before I release it, right? So different categories for this one. So different categories for what each song that you've written is, right? So these different guys are, we talk about these in an audit, where this kind of goes along with, this is our primary education that we give to you, which is making you aware of all this stuff. And then the audit is actually us, you know, assigning values to each of these things and discussing where you're at, if you want to pursue improvement in which of these areas, for instance. And basically this is just our first communication with you. So this is like the free producer admins, right? This is where it goes. This is where all of us, me, Skylar, client, where they all meet up. This is the common, you know, fucking thing between us, the common thread. And in addition to having yourself, your profile, your avatar broken down into these 5 areas, we can also break down your music into 7 different areas. Okay, and those are, hold on, those are music theory, composition, and arrangement. So I'll just abbreviate those. Then we've got mixing, which is making sure all the different parts of your track, of your song, sit well together. And we've got mastering, which is just making sure the overall thing is ready for release. And we've got artwork and content. So what kind of material are you going to pair with your music when you upload it online? And then now that we have all of that stuff, we can talk about release, which is basically just uploading it to like DistroKid or YouTube or whatever. And then promo, which is probably something we're going to talk less about. Unless we find a way to reframe it, because I don't really know much about promo. So maybe like, you know, sync licensing, right? So like, as far as Skylar and I, we're gonna have varying knowledge about all of these, and also just a different approach to them. Like for me, the way that I approach content and artwork is going to be different than the way that Skylar approaches it. So, and then I think as far as promo goes, that is going to be something where we probably both feel a little weak in it. So either we need to study some more on this. We could also just call this like making money from your music, like developing some kind of income from your music, whatever that is. It's kind of all related, I guess. But anyway, we are either going to need to study up a lot on this, or just be real with our clients and be like, you know, this is something that we are still learning ourselves, so we're not planning to really teach much about it. We can tell you what we know, but aside from that, we'll focus on these other 6. So yeah, that's basically it. The only other thing I should touch on is, well, by the way, this whole thing right here is called the Scaffold. So once we do the primer and the audit, then you become aware of all of this stuff. And the idea is that we use this framework, the Scaffold, to the free producer. Scaffold was made to help producers of any skill level free the music on their hard drive to an, right, like be free, butterfree, to an online platform where it's able to be shared in both a personal and professional sense or context. So the idea is, what I mean is, like, you put it online so that you can send it to your brother and be like, hey, check out this new song that I wrote. Or you can send it to somebody that you want. You can make it more of a portfolio where these things are meant to be sent to other professionals in order to get them to hire you in whatever way, whatever that means to you. So there's that. And then the other thing is coaching versus mentoring. So coaching is essentially just I already know the answers, I just need help with implementation and accountability. And mentoring is I don't know the answers, or I need answers. So I need help with experience and a bootstrap. Okay, that's the only other thing I wanted to bring up. And all of this together, to me, makes up the free producer Scaffold. Just kidding. I was just being a little funny there when I said scandal instead of scaffold. So the free producer Scaffold, and yes, indeedy. Oops. Something like that. All right, let me know what you think. Peace. All right. All right. So just a couple things I wanted to touch on after I rewatched that. A couple things I want to change over here. First of all, so just the direction of these arrows. Free producer admins. We perform an audit, and let's change this a little bit. I think what I'm going for is we provide a client with a primer, which, by the way, what I should have mentioned at some point in that video is the primer is this is what I'm doing right now, is the primer. But this is just a prototype. This isn't actually meant for clients, but it's kind of just talking about whatever. Yeah, just making somebody aware of this entire thing. That's what the primer is. So we provide clients with the primer, and then we also provide them with an audit, which is made up of these things, and that's also what the audit is assigning values and metrics and KPIs to these areas, but these areas in a not technical sense make up this person, right? Or this artist profile or avatar. I'm hesitating to say profile because I don't mean a social media profile, right? So yeah, I wanted to change that. And then this box or bubble down here, promo, sync, and cache, I basically was just thinking maybe this should be named, we can call it promo, but the idea is it's cash in, cash out, right? So like you're either trying to make money, make an income using your music somehow, or on the other hand, you're spending cash in order to get more people to know about your music. So ad spend right here. So either it's kind of like financializing, I don't know if that's a word, but you're financializing this this bubble right here, right? Your music. So yeah, anyway, that's the more general way that I wanted to change that to refer to that. And then the other, sorry, going back here, the other thing I wanted to mention is we are not assigning values here necessarily, or I guess what I should say is we, on the free producer side, you and me, Skylar, we are, you know, providing like a subjective value for each of these things. So like, sorry, not a score, but like, you know, we, according to us, this is just like a list of bullet points, right? So I wish I could make this smaller, but like, you know, here's this thing, whatever, born in Warsaw, or grew up like listening to your brother play the guitar, or like your mom was singing as, you know, when you were a baby, whatever. Let me just make a little more room here. So this is just like, I'm getting somewhere with this. Just give me one sec. So this is just a list of bullet points on our side. This is the way that we are approaching this. So totally objective. And then the snapshot is like your like VST library or your sample library, you know, like the current state of those things. So another bullet point, goals that we have for the person, you know, or the goals that they have for themselves, whatever. I'll just leave that one out for now. And then basically like, we evaluate the status of their music triage, which is like scattered, right? We've determined that their triage is poorly put together because they have a hard drive over here that has music on it from a long time ago, and they have a hard drive over here, and also they've got some stuff online that they haven't integrate, you know, just like stuff from SoundCloud from 10 years ago that they haven't re-downloaded and put into the master triage space, whatever. Just like we have identified that there is not one monolith where everything is held, right? For easy backup and for easy reference. Okay, promise I'm getting somewhere. So these bullet points, this is the thing I'm trying to get at. These bullet points are the way that we evaluate it. It's completely objective. But to the client, they give themselves a rating. There's some, you know, some kind of grade system or whatever. You could be like a 5 out of 5 on that, or like a C minus. And then based on this rating, the rating that they give themselves in this area up here, but also these areas down here. So they might give themselves like a C minus for music theory, or they might give themselves an A minus for their artwork or releasing, whatever. And then we take the average of those, and that is the pre value, or the before value for their overall like assessment of themselves, right? So I guess something that I'm trying to get at is that people evaluate themselves, and this is based on their own assessment. So then when it comes time that we've gone through this scaffold, you know, 90 days later or whatever, we find out that they have gone from a C minus, telling them, you know, giving themselves a C minus, they've gone from that to a B plus. And that's the point of, you know, having people rate themselves based on these, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever. Yeah. We average the 11 before and we average those after, and that's the progress that we show people. Saying like, you know, you rated yourself here before we worked together, now you're rating yourself here, So, you know, that's the progress. And that's everything. Yeah, that's all the extra pieces I wanted to add after watching that. So, yeah, and just let me know, like, this whole thing overall is not to tell you how we're doing things, but to tell you kind of the way that I'm thinking about it. So if there are some things that we want to, or things that you want to modify, just let me know, based on like the way that you're thinking about it, and based on, you know, maybe the way that you or based on some thoughts that you had while watching this video. So, okay.